What is a Jew? We're now celebrating the holiday of Passover, the birth of the Jewish nation. But what exactly is a Jew? We see that Jewish people often act very strangely in regarding to Judaism. For instance, a friend of mine told me that he lives in a town called Nazrat in Israel, and he was walking around on Shabbat looking for groups of young people that he could perhaps learn Torah with them or speak to them about Judaism. He came to a group of youth. There were Russians and Arabs, and he asked them, anyone here Jewish? And they all said, no, we're not Jewish. And they were all smoking, it was Shabbat. He turned to leave, and one of them stood up and said, 1 minute, I'm Jewish, my mother was Jewish, my grandmother's Jewish. Here, I'll show you. Just because in Russia, to show I was Jewish, look, he took off his shirt and turned around, and he had Shema Yisrael tattooed on his back. Shema Yisrael is really the proper thing. It's not the proper thing to put on your back, and certainly not a tattoo. But the essence of a Jew is really Shema Yisrael. What does Shema Yisrael mean? Listen, Jews, God is our God. God is one. What does it mean that God is our God? The founder of the Hasidic movement, his pupil was called the Maggid of Mezrich. He had a lot of also pupils that came from backgrounds that were very opposed to Hasidic movement. One of them left his group and went to this Maggid of Mezrich to learn, and he came back. His father-in-law was very angry. What did you go to those Hasidim for? What did you learn over there? He said, I learned Torah, I learned prayer. He said, well, here you also learn Torah and prayer. He said, I'll tell you something. He said, I heard the Maggid of Mezrich say the prayer at the end, Ein Kelokeinu, there's nothing like our God. And suddenly I realized, wow, he's right. The essence of a Jew is connected to the essence of God. It's a thing that's not understandable, but it's somehow they're connected to Torah. And maybe I'll tell you another story that really sort of illustrates this. I read in a newspaper years ago, there was a Yemenite fellow, a Jew in Israel, and he said that he wants to tell us an interesting story. He said he had a restaurant, and he served in this restaurant not kosher meat, pork. He said, I want to tell you something. He said, I know that it's forbidden to do, but what can I do? That's how I make a living. He said, one day, a Jew comes in, and he orders some of the meat, and I put it inside of pita bread, and I ask him, what would you like on it? Would you like pickles? Would you like something sharp tasting, maybe something peppery with? He looked at me, looked at the sandwich, he started pounding on the counter and screaming, what do you think I am? A Gentile? You think I'm a goy? I'll burn your whole place down. This is an insult to me. I said, what are you yelling and screaming about? You see on the outside that we're selling pork here. He said, pork? What do I care about pork? It's Passover. What are you giving me chametz for? So I realized he's right. I took the pork out. I had some matzah in my lunch bag. I put it between the matzah, and he sat down and he ate. He said, look at this. On one hand, he's all excited. He's fire against eating chametz, and on the other hand, he's eating pork. Can this be understood? He said, but somehow or other, this is somehow or other the essence of what a Jew is. A Jew somehow or other is connected to the essence of God, the essence of the Creator, the reason for the Creator that's above understanding, and this is found in the Torah. And maybe they don't understand it 100%, but the little bit when they do understand it, this activates them. That's what the essence of a Jew is, and I want to finish with one story that maybe illustrates this better than anything else. They say that in Hebron, the city of Hebron, that there was a big Jewish community. There was a lot of Chabad there also. This was in 1929. The Jews and the Arabs, they got along very well. In 1929, suddenly the Arabs made an uprising and they killed all the Jews that they could. Well, there was one renegade Jew in the town. His name was Menashe. And he threw away all Torah and commandments. And he used to scoff at the Jews that kept Torah and commandments. He used to ride his donkey through the Jewish sector on Shabbat, smoking a cigarette. And the Jews would say, Menashe, please come back to Judaism. He said, I'm a good Jew enough. I don't have to keep the commandments. I'm a good Jew. Well, when these riots occurred, the massacres, as he was sitting with his Arab friends in a house, and the Arabs went around killing Jews, and they went from house to house looking for Jews. They came to the house where he was sitting with his friends, and they said, "Any Jews here?" And all of the Arabs said, "No, there's none here." And they looked at Menashe, and they said, "What about him? We don't recognize him." And they said, No, he's one of us. He's not a Jew." And they said, "Okay." They left, the murderers, they all left. And this Menashe, suddenly he stood up, ran outside, and he said, "No, I'm a Jew, and they killed him. So the other Arabs that were sitting with him said, "What a strange thing it was. This man went crazy because of his Judaism." But that's what it means that God is our God. When a Jew feels his Judaism, or he feels even one commandment, then somehow or other this wakes up something inside of him, a connection to the Creator for the whole reason that he's existing in the world. Well, eventually this God that creates us and that the Jews are representing is going to be the God of the whole world, because he's creating all of mankind. And that was the first Jew, Abraham, who was called the father of all mankind, to bring this message that God is not just our God, but he's Echad, he's the God of the whole world. And that is the Jews that God took out of Egypt.
Moment of Wisdom, sub-brief and life-changing moments. Join us. Subscribe to Moment of Wisdom channels on YouTube, Telegram, Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp.